Okay, welcome everyone. We're thrilled to have you today to join us for our live webinar, AR and the Trades, Transforming Field Service with Intelligent Tech. Before we dive in, let me quickly introduce myself. I'm Emily Conacher and I work with the team at Simpro. And over the years, I've had the opportunity to see firsthand how Simpro and our technology partners have helped modernize trade businesses, from streamlining their operations to improving customer experience and driving growth. So I'll be your host and moderator today. So let's talk about why we're here. AI is no longer a buzzword. It's a practical tool that trades businesses are already using to save time, book more jobs, and deliver better customer experiences. According to recent research from Podium, 75% of HVAC businesses are saving time on repetitive tasks thanks to AI. And nearly 90% say that AI is critical for staying competitive in 2025. But yet, only 45% of them say that they're still unsure about how to actually make it useful for their business. So that's where today's panel comes in. We're going to explore how real trade businesses are putting AI to work, from smarter scheduling to customer communication to reducing paperwork and increasing revenue, all while keeping that personal human touch. I'm thrilled to introduce our expert panelists who are leading the charge in applying AI to field services. I will let them do their own intros, but you can see it's them listed here, and we'll kick off with Jason.
All right. Hello, everyone. Nice to see you. My name is Jason Pankerthman. I'm the Chief Product and Technology Officer at Simpro. At Simpro, we have over 250,000 customers, so lots of interaction, which is fantastic. And at the company, I run product management and software development. And so obviously my goal is to make our lives easier for our large customer base. And AI, I think, is one of the areas that has a lot of opportunity for us to delve into and improve the experience for our customers, reduce a lot of friction and tedious work, and help bring a lot more value and insights into their business. So I'm excited for this discussion. Thank you.
Hey everybody, I'm Keith Massey. I run all of our strategic partnerships over here for the HVAC division at Podium. We also work with a ton of companies across the US, Canada, as well as Australia is another one of our geographies that we cover. But we work with over 150,000 businesses. In the HVAC space alone, we work with over 10,000 HVAC and plumbing businesses. But our platform is designed to help with communication with customers. And now we leverage AI to respond to all inbound leads in under 60 seconds. We also leverage voice AI to even answer the phone now. So lots of really cool and exciting stuff coming from the Podium side. Nice to meet y'all.
Hi, everyone. I'm Will Dinkle, CEO and co-founder of Delight. Before this, I led product and engineering teams focused on AI and automation. And now I'm focused on bringing those tools to industries like HVAC, plumbing, and security, where time is tight. And as you know, relationships really matter. We started Delight because trade teams are often so busy delivering great service, they don't have time to stay top of mind with their customers. And that leads to a lot of missed opportunities. So Delight uses AI to automate personalized email marketing, helping businesses stay in touch, educate customers about all the services they offer, and ultimately turn one-time jobs into long-term relationships without adding more work to the team.
Awesome. Thank you, Jason, Keith, and Will. So let's dive into the panel discussion. We'll be covering how AI is being used today in field service, and I'll be asking a few key questions, as I said, and then opening it up to the audience. So I'd love to start with a broad one for all of you. What's your take on generally the digital shift that we're seeing in the trades? Where is that transformation happening the fastest? And what's at stake if companies don't adopt?
I can jump in first. I do a lot of presentations across the US in a lot of different markets. And one of the questions I always ask before I get started is raise your hand, anyone that's using AI in their business. And, you know, a year ago, I would maybe have one business in the room that was doing it. And then I've seen it gradually go up more and more. About a month ago, I was in a meeting in Seattle, and almost the entire room raised their hand that they were using some type of AI in their business. So as far as which markets are leveraging it the most, I'm going to say the larger cities where there's higher competition are going to be leveraging a lot more AI tools than rural markets, but it's coming for everyone, right? If you're not getting on the tools that are going to make your business more competitive, you're going to get left behind.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I think the digital shift in field services is not just about new tools, it's about a mindset change. So for decades, the industry's relied on paper, phone calls, manual scheduling, and now we're seeing a real transformation in how work gets done, which is AI is automating follow-ups, calendars are getting filled intelligently, and tech is enabling teams to do more in less time. And the biggest shift is customer expectations. They want fast, personalized, seamless experiences, just like the ones they get from Amazon or Uber. And if businesses don't adapt, they really risk falling behind both on customer satisfaction and also operational efficiency. So, what's at stake for the industry? It's not just missed revenue, it's really relevance in a market that's really competitive and evolving quickly.
Yeah, I agree with Keith and Will. Both hit on sort of just different aspects. I agree with Keith about that. There's also a cultural shift too, or a cultural element to it, and I think that's really important. And as Will was saying, it's an operational part, but I also think there's a financial and a reputational aspect to it. On the financial side, margins are thin, and there's operating costs to manage, and leveraging AI and the shift to digital helps focus on those areas where we can kind of be more productive. And on the reputational side, building those relationships with customers using tools to do that, I think is really important. So I think the sort of financial, operational, reputational, and then the sort of cultural aspects, that all of those areas are going to benefit from that shift to digital, which I think a lot of companies have already made, but also augmenting this with AI.
Awesome. I know Keith and Will, you guys, your companies really focus on that customer experience piece kind of first and foremost. And AI is really playing a critical role in the communication aspect of customer experience. How can it help businesses connect better with their customers? And do you have like some real life examples of that change?
Yeah, I would say for as far as communication goes and working directly and connecting with customers, we have several different tools that AI leverages. Number one, on the review side, we now use AI to respond to Google reviews automatically for businesses. Google loves to see consistent reviews coming in to help get you to the top of the Google Map Pack for your area. But Google also loves to see responses from the owners. And so a lot of businesses will have someone in the office that's one of their dedicated jobs is to go in and respond to reviews. Our AI responds to those reviews within 24 hours of them posting on Google. And so that is a huge customer delighter is, whenever I leave a review for a business and I get a response back from the owner, it makes me want to continue to do business with them. So that's one aspect. But the other aspect is we also want to respond to reviews faster than the competition. The industry average for HVAC and plumbing is that 78% of homeowners will go with the first business that responds to them when they need service. So with our AI tool, we respond to all of those text leads, email, Facebook, Instagram, all those lead sources we pull into the Podium inbox, and our AI responds to those leads in under 60 seconds every time. And then the third thing that we use AI for is we can now answer the phone with AI. So it can replace answering services. It can also serve as a rollover during busy times of the day to be able to answer, if the team doesn't answer within 3 rings, then the AI is going to jump right in there so that we're taking advantage of every lead that's coming our way. And that really boosts the customer satisfaction with our customers.
Yeah, that speed to lead is so critical. Will, do you have a good example of AI in motion?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just to summarize what Keith was saying, it's really about AI helping trade businesses connect with customers in ways that feel personal, but without all the manual effort that's required. And a great example for us is one of our customers, Mirasol Solar. So prior to using Delight, their customer outreach was manual, it was inefficient, it was inconsistent. With Delight, we're able to tap into the rich job and quote history from Simpro to really send out like personalized, relevant emails to past customers, not just generic follow-ups, but messages that actually educate and inform them about services they might not even know were available. And in just the past couple of months, that approach brought 48 previously dormant customers back for new jobs, and 12 of them signed up for recurring service contracts. So it's a huge win, not just in revenue, but also in building those lasting relationships. And AI makes that possible by combining data they already had, the businesses already had, but with smart human-like connection and doing that really at scale.
Yeah, that's a great example. Jason, switching gears a little, let's talk about field service workflows. So how is Simpro embedding AI in tools like scheduling and quoting? Feels like there could be some optimization there, right? And what kind of operational lift are you seeing?
Yeah, that's a great topic, and obviously something we're focused on. The benefits of AI is that it can really analyze a lot of real-time inputs. So if we're talking about scheduling, for example, it can look at traffic patterns. We can look at technician skills, the job urgency, if there's any preference for certain customers. We can look at historical jobs and the durations that they took to do those types of jobs for those customers, and even link into the weather, right, for routing. So auto scheduling is one area that there's a great opportunity for AI and obviously make that more efficient. And the other thing is even just on the technician skills matching. So I think if you look at what technicians have been, their history working on specific jobs and the time to complete, the customer satisfaction ratings. You really want to get the right technician to the right place. And so it's really important to match that. And so AI is allowing us to do that dynamically. And if there's any changes or let's say exception handling, maybe the customer cancels or somebody, the technician's sick, we can do this auto reassignment and handle those sort of conflicts and then provide the best outcome for the customer. So that's just one example, scheduling, but I think that that's a really good one because it's dealing with multiple inputs that are often dynamic, and you're looking for a very specific outcome that benefits the customer. And I think it's a perfect use case.
Awesome. And Keith, in terms of that customer communication aspect, how does Podium help those businesses really keep customers informed of the job from beginning to end, and especially integrating with Simpro as we kind of move through the stages of the job?
Yeah, so with the integration that Podium has with Simpro, we'll start with like you send out a quote, for example, to a customer, we'll automatically remind the customer a day later of that quote. If they're scheduled for a job, we'll send over the notification letting them know, hey, you're scheduled for your visit tomorrow at 3 p.m., as well as like a reminder. You can set up a reminder 24 hours in advance or something to be able to make sure that when your technician shows up over there, the homeowner's home, right? And so we try to automate a lot of that, as well as reviews. So as soon as you mark a job as completed within Simpro, we'll text over a link to the customer asking for that review, and then we'll use AI to respond to that review when it comes in. And then the last thing, this is newer, is with our text AI, when the AI qualifies a lead and gets that customer all the information for that customer, you can then take that summary and send it directly over to Simpro and be able to pull in the customer's name, their address, and be able to send all that data over to Simpro. So it really is a benefit for you guys because you're not having to do the double entries with the customer's data. And it's all about kind of speeding things up for the folks in the office and making your life a little bit easier.
Yes, I love when disparate systems talk to each other. It makes everyone's life easier.
Absolutely.
Will, can you talk a little bit about how Delight integrates with Simpro, especially on those more personalized, kind of seamless experiences that you were talking about too?
Yeah, absolutely. So Simpro is an incredible operating system with a universe of business critical information. It holds everything from quotes to jobs to the complete history of the customer. At Delight, we built a seamless integration that ingests that data through Simpro's API and uses it to trigger personalized automated communication with the goal of bringing those leads and customers back for more work. What makes it really powerful is the scale. So for a person to try to send these kinds of thoughtful, relevant messages based on specific job types, quote history, timing, it would take hours of work. And you multiply that across hundreds or even thousands of customers. We talk to folks every day who are trying to make that work, and the math just doesn't work. And what happens is they're just not able to stay in touch with folks. So Delight does that instantly, it does it automatically. That means field service teams can stay focused on what they do best, which is delivering great work, while customers feel like they're getting proactive, high touch communication, all driven by the real operational data that's coming directly from Simpro.
I've also noticed that when AI is introduced, even in small ways, there's sometimes that hesitation and pushback from internal teams. And I think, there's healthy skepticism, right? But how, as leaders of these teams, can we help get people more comfortable with this and making their jobs easier?
I guess I'll start again. I feel like I'm starting everything, but okay. I would say that when we present AI, there's always going to be some people that are more traditional and they're very leery about allowing AI to take a part in their business. But a lot of times we'll have during the demo, we'll have an opportunity for the contractors or the businesses to be able to actually try out the AI and have a conversation where they can ask it questions and see how it reacts. But when they start seeing that the responses are probably more professional and more buttoned up than their existing team, there's no grammatical errors, all the punctuation's great. All of a sudden, they start thinking, oh, wow, this could actually probably make my life a lot easier because I'm not having to respond to leads that are coming in after hours. I can have the AI take care of that, and I can actually enjoy some time with my family. So those are some ways that we help kind of break down those barriers, is kind of show them ways that it's going to make their life better and also not affect the customer satisfaction on their end or that personal touch that the homeowners are needing. That's really the best way to be able to help break that down.
Yeah, and just to add that, I think AI is weird. It's different, but we all know why we want it because we know the before story. Work is manual, work is time consuming, it's unpredictable, it doesn't always deliver results. You want to fix that, but it requires change. And the most common hesitation we see is about control. Like there's just this natural fear of letting go of certain things that have always been managed in a certain way, typically very manually. And the model we try to get folks to think about it is, think of AI as like you're bringing on a new employee and they have unlimited time, they have perfect memory. And like a new employee, you don't hand over everything on day one. You start small. Maybe that's automating a certain part of your process, follow-ups, reminders. And then just like with a real team member, you observe how they work, you fine tune, you give them instructions, you make those adjustments. And over time, the system learns and it improves. And the beauty is those small tweaks that you make once, they keep paying off every single day. And that's how you build trust in the tool. And that's how you start to see AI as a helpful extension of your team and not a threat to your team.
Yeah, I agree with Will and Keith there. I think the real challenge with AI in the trades industry, it's not capability. AI can do a lot of things. It's on credibility and clarity. And AI is not here to replace us just yet. It's really there to support us. And it's not just a buzzword. And so I think we need to get comfortable with the fact that it's a decision assistant, not necessarily a decision maker. We shouldn't position it as such because we do want to have that human touch. And I think no matter how far AI goes in the future, it'll be a little bit like a pendulum, that there will be an over indexing on automation and then a shift back to the personal communication. And we'll run businesses and we know that personal touch is the most valuable. So we should never lose sight of that. So AI, I think, should always be, for us in our industry, a supporting role, but really take a lot of the painful, time-consuming aspects out just to help with the operational piece. But I would say, back to your question, Emily, how do people get more comfortable with it? I think you just need to try it and then compare the results. And people trust results when they see them. And so that takes time. And so I would just start small.
Yeah. I also like an example that we had talked about in preparation for this call was, yes, treat AI kind of as a new employee, but also there's feedback mechanisms built into all of these products that are to make sure that the human touch isn't lost. So if you don't like a response that was done, or if you would say it a little different, it's that coaching of a new employee that you can also do with the AI tools to really get them to the standard and the extension of your team that you desire.
Totally, 100%.
Awesome. So, closing question for me, what is one simple, low lift way a trade business could start using AI today without needing a full tech overhaul?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would say the easiest way, at least for a lot of small businesses that I see, is they'll use ChatGPT and they'll just plug in different prompts, whether it's, help me write a email to a customer with this objective. Or we also see a lot of businesses they'll copy and paste from Google the review that their company got, and then they'll ask ChatGPT, hey, can you write a professional response to this? That's free. You can do that right now just to see how well the AI can work. That's a very easy way to kind of get started, is just start with some emails that are done by the AI, start with some review responses. Those are easy, and they're free methods for you guys to be able to get your toes wet.
Yeah, and I'd say your business, where the tedium is. Find one of those. One of the simplest ways you can get started is just find one repetitive task, whether it's following up on unsold quotes, creating automation around booking recurring jobs. Like, you don't need a full overhaul of your business to see impact. You can start small, you can see what works, and you could build from there. And if you're curious about trying this out, we'd of course love to help. Delight AI is purpose built for trade businesses, and we're actually offering 25% off your first 2 months if you mention this webinar. Month to month, it's a low risk way to try out AI and see results really fast.
Yeah, I agree with you guys there. So Keith, you hit a good point there about playing around with ChatGPT. I think any business owner can just go into ChatGPT and just say, help me with some of the business problems I have. Ask me 20 questions about my business and then tell me where I can improve. You answer the 20 questions and then it'll give you suggestions on what you can do. So simple things you can sort of interact and play with and get to understand how AI works. For those people who are beyond that already, yes, you're going to be looking for tools like Will is developing that are already baked in. And I'll give everybody a sneak preview right now that in July, we're releasing in our software the ability to generate work notes associated with a job and auto summarize all the key details of that work. So the parts that we use, the next steps, and flag anything that was missing perhaps, and suggest standard phrases, and so clean up the language, exactly what Keith was talking about, but have that built into the app. And so I think a lot of companies are going to be doing that. I know Keith and Will are focused on that too, is we understand the areas that we can offer to our customers. And so our focus is which order or priority do we want to focus on first, because there's a lot of opportunity. So we're just going to kind of work our way through the list on and improving the efficiency for a customer, give them more real-time insights. But I would say, I think we're all on the same page here. We don't want to lose the personal touch, the customer touch there. And so there'll always need to be this area of human oversight to ensure that we gain confidence in the message and control the relationship with the customer.
Awesome. All right. So now let's take some questions from the audience. Let's see. So, do we have a take on any data and privacy concerns that we should take into consideration when using AI with the various softwares?
Maybe I'll just answer that quickly from my perspective. Yes, you should always be concerned about where your data is going and how it's being used. And you can do your own research depending on the tools you're using, of course. But as software providers ourselves, obviously that's very top of the list for us. In our own models, we use something that is containerized. It's not connected to public domain. So all of the intelligence is kept there. So any of the insights on customer data is within that customer data set. It doesn't go anywhere else. It's not being used to go and train other models. I think that's an obvious thing, and all companies who are implementing AI for their own, I'm sure that Will and Keith are doing exactly the same thing, because that's just the right kind of practice. And I would just say, if you're using any other tool, just be sure about where the data is going. Read the fine print to make sure that data is not being used to train other models or to be used in any even aggregated sense for larger data manipulation. Just make sure it's containerized. Keith and Will, do you have any additional thoughts?
Just to reiterate what you said, Jason. I mean, we're a premier partner with OpenAI, which they have really solid security and data retention policies, but our data is completely partitioned away from all of the other OpenAI instances. Ours is Podium data only, and they also have um, policies about retaining the information. It's not retained permanently. It's cleaned out so that it's not just staying there and could be accessed, right? And so that's why what you said is spot on. We want to make sure that our data is away from the open models that are going to be gathering that information and using it elsewhere. It has to be partitioned off.
Yeah, and I think it's, what makes models so powerful, just to add on what both Jason and Keith said, what makes it powerful is that it's trained on information. You just don't want your information being used to train and then having your data leaking out to other organizations. So really what it is, data privacy is always top of mind, and even more so with AI. And so that creates a new set of questions to ask vendors, not only about, where your data is being used, whether it could be exposed, also what controls are in place for choosing what data gets synced and how you can delete it if you want to delete it from the vendor. And this is so important in the trades because so much is built on trust and reputation that protecting that customer data, it isn't optional, it's essential. And we take that really seriously. We encourage as businesses to ask those hard questions up front with any tech partner they're bringing on who's using AI.
Great. This is a great question too. What are the prerequisites for successful AI adoption? So the question is, there's a strong operational model to support kind of implementation and scale, and then high quality data accuracy. What else would you guys add to that?
So it's like, I think it was Will that mentioned this. It's like you're training a new employee. So for our text AI, we go through a pretty detailed FAQ where you'll put in all the services your business provides. If there's any excluded services, what's your service area? And then it'll go through, what's included in your preventative maintenance program if you offer one. And then it'll be able to answer those questions appropriately. So that's really the prerequisite on our end, is we want to have an FAQ that our AI can basically answer all the most important questions that are going to come through, as well as like fees, like if you have a diagnostic fee, if you have a dispatch fee, if you have an emergency service fee. We have to give the AI all of the relevant information because each business handles things a little bit differently. But if we give it the tools and then we give your business the feedback mechanism where you can give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you didn't like the message, and be able to train that model so it gets better and better over time, that's really the best way to be able to have a truly successful AI adoption.
Yeah, and that's great answer, Keith. And I think a lot of it kind of comes back to the earlier question about scariness of AI and how do you get comfortable, how do you overcome that initial hurdle. And it's very different than traditional software. What we hear from a lot of folks is like, before they're using AI, they're like, hey, we got to get this cleaned up. We got to get that cleaned up. We got to get these things organized just the right way. Because that's kind of how software has worked historically. You spend a ton of time setting something up before you get any value out of the other side of it. And, I thought that, Rick had a great question in the chat, like about the messy data. Like that is the beauty of AI. Like it can go in, it can take that messy data and it can actually figure out what that is and be able to use that and create value from that for your business. So I think we're entering a world where, everybody's kind of got that to-do list like, hey, I got to go clean that up. I got to get ready. But actually, I think in the future, you don't clean that up. The tools just get better and better at adapting and being able to use that information, even if it's a little inaccurate, even if it's a little bit inconsistent. And so it kind of goes back to, hey, you bring that new employee in, you get them doing stuff, right? You're not going to put them in a 3-month training program. The best way to learn, the best way to iterate is to kind of start small and do it in real time.
Yeah, let's be honest, employee onboarding is never perfect, right? So if you just incrementally make improvements. Anything you want to add, Jason? I know we've got a couple more questions coming.
Yeah, I saw that Owen asked the question, right? And he's speaking my language, right? When he says that really AI is only as good as the information you provide it. It's like classical systems, right? Good data in, good data out, dirty data in, dirty data out. And so, yes, we do need to ensure that the data that we have is relatively clean and organized and trustworthy, because we don't want hallucination. It's a common term, right? There's different types of hallucination. It can just be making decisions on bad data, but also making stuff up where there's an absence of data. And so there still needs to be a lot of training that's done on the data, and there needs to be human oversight in situations which are a little bit more critical. So yes, I do think that all companies need to think about is how much can they trust the data that they have in their own systems and the interfaces that they have to those systems. So there's a certain amount of preparation that's required to get the real benefit. So great question.
Awesome. And then a question from Mark. So apart from the brief mention of some job note related AI releases, does Simpro have any other AI plans on the roadmap? And if so, what, where?
Yeah, I've actually got a list next to me. And so it's we have a lot in discovery and some that are in development, and so we've got different things in various stages. I mentioned that the job notes actually was already done. We have a pilot running with about 1,000 technicians right now, and so we've learned a lot through how technicians are using AI job notes, and so we're releasing that in July. The other things that we're sort of looking at are, as I mentioned before, scheduling and dispatch. That's a really big one, but that's a bigger project. So we'll have to do that in multiple phases because of the complexity of the types of inputs, and ensuring that we are providing the best output, right? So if we're looking at skill sets for technicians, you've got to make sure that we do know what those skill sets are. If we're looking at historical completion rates, we need to make sure that we've actually got the right data there for what was done in the past, so that if we're making decisions for the future, they're based on the correct thing. The other area is in business intelligence on insights. Right now, if you want a dashboard, a report, you're doing that very manually, or there's something pre-built. We want to get to more smart insights where you can query data and have better results. So we have this sort of data as a service tool that we've got in a prototype form that we are adapting for our use cases. There's another one like takeoffs. So if you have a picture of equipment or symbols, we can do that symbol recognition, and that just sort of reduces some of the manual work. The other ones that we have are around mobile photographs. So right now you have to type in, rename the image. We want to do that automatically. So we have a prototype where we can automatically detect what's in the image and say fuse panel 1, fuse panel 2. So you'd have to manually change the file name associated with the images. So there's a lot there. I have a long list. And probably the last one I'll just say is just a chatbot. So if you imagine you're a technician and you're in the field and you've got standards or policies that you need to adhere to, electrical standards, things like that, we'll have this retrieval augmented generation, a RAG, which is a separate repository where you can dump all of the user manuals and standards and compliance information, put it in that repository, and then we'll provide a chatbot to the technicians so they can query that data as their own sort of search, but you control the information that's in there. It's in a special location. It's not just going out to the internet and pulling standards from Canada or somewhere where you're not. It's giving you what you need. I could talk about that all day, but we have a long list. But if you have any suggestions or recommendations, then go to our product portal and then put them in, or just contact me. I'd love to hear what you're doing and how we can solve those problems.
Awesome. Thanks, Jason. All right. Well, thank you so much to our amazing panel. We're running up on time. So just a reminder before we go, you'll get a replay of today's session and helpful links, including how to schedule Simpro, Podium, and Delight demos in your inbox shortly. So please feel free to look there. And if you would like, you can pull out your phone and text to schedule a demo right from this slide too, if that's helpful for you. So if anything sparked your interest today, now is a great time to take the first step towards AI in your business, whether it's, quotes to faster, answering leads after hours, or just gathering more reviews. A small start is a good start. So on behalf of Simpro and our partners at Podium and Delight, thank you so much for joining, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.